Are you experiencing Joy-Con drift on a Nintendo Switch like I am? Are you reluctant to fork out £50 on a Nintendo Switch Pro controller? Or do you have a preference in using other console controllers with your Switch? If so, then you're in luck. The 8Bitdo is a wireless USB Bluetooth adapter which allows you to use your Xbox One, PlayStation 3, 4 and the newly released PlayStation 5 controller, as well as the Wii U controller on your Nintendo Switch. Before we carry on with the video, I just wanted to mention that this is my first video on the channel and I would greatly appreciate everyone's support if you find my videos to be useful. My uploads will be centered around tech and productivity, and if that's where your interests lie, then remember to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads, guys. Okay, back to the video. The 8Bitdo comes in a plastic case which has a cool Mario Bricky-like look with a removable cap which exposes the USB. On the opposite end, you can find the pairing button, which contains a blinking light next to it to indicate which type of mode it's in. I do want to point out that the plastic is hollow, so this can be crushed in your hands if you have a very strong grip like me, of course. Also, don't go stepping on it as it can permanently damage or break the USB adapter. The 8Bitdo dimensions are 56 by 24 by 8mm and weighs in at a whopping 8 grams. This will cost you around £14 on Amazon and only pairs with one controller at a time. So if you want to use multiple controllers, then you guessed it guys, you need to purchase additional 8Bitdo wireless USB adapters, unfortunately. The USB adapter comes with no instructions manual, however, it's straightforward to use. If you need additional information or instructions, this can be found on the official 8Bitdo website, which I've linked down below. The 8Bitdo is compatible with the Nintendo Switch, macOS and Windows, as well as Android TV Box, Raspberry Pi and RetroFreak. This is all made possible by a 2.1 Class 2 Bluetooth connection. In regards to which controllers are compatible with the Switch, this can be found on the 8Bitdo website. Just bear in mind that only the official PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch Pro controller are fully functional. The others still work perfectly but may lack motion control. Also, I wanted to point out that motion control won't work on the DualShock 4 controller when pairing it to a PC. It's only fully functional on Nintendo Switch. I do recommend viewing the online instructions manual as it provides full guidance on how to pair your Switch to all other compatible controllers from the list. For today's demonstration, I'll be using an official DualShock 4 PlayStation controller. Prior to inserting the dongle into the dock, there are a few settings that we need to fiddle around with within the Nintendo Switch. Turn on your Switch, grab your Joy-Cons and head over to the settings menu and scroll down to controller and sensors and make sure that Pro Controller wired connection is on. If this is off, then the 8Bitdo won't be able to emulate a Nintendo Switch Pro Controller, rendering the entire connection process void. Now we can insert the USB adapter into the dock and press the pairing button, which will start blinking rapidly. Then on your PlayStation 4 controller, hold down the home and share button at the same time to put the controller into pairing mode. You'll notice that the controller will start flashing and vibrating. The controller and the 8Bitdo are now paired. The controller is fully functional in the menu section. Now let's try out in-game. Whilst loading Mario Odyssey, you can see that the DualShock 4 controller is vibrating vigorously in my hands and even on the desk, which tells us that the in-game rumble is fully supported on the DualShock 4. As you can see, this works like a gem, therefore guys, £14 is well spent. Just bear in mind this process must be repeated every time you disconnect your controller whilst pairing it to another device. The same steps can also be applied to the official PlayStation 5 controller, however the controller won't be able to support motion controls even though it has gyro built into it. I am hoping 8Bitdo release a firmware update in the future allowing full compatibility with next-gen controllers. Consequently, using a PlayStation 3 controller with your Switch requires additional steps, however these steps can be found on the 8Bitdo website and take no longer than 5 minutes to set up. If you don't want to use your Nintendo Switch in dock mode but still want to use a compatible controller, then this is still doable, but you need to pick up a USB-C hub multi-port adapter. Mine is from Amazon and I've linked it down below. Place the USB-C end into the Nintendo Switch port below and undertake the same steps outlined earlier. I know everyone might be concerned with latency, and to be frank, there is none. This feels so smooth and lag-free because the USB adapter is emulating a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. However, there are a few downsides to this USB adapter, guys. Unfortunately, on the Nintendo Switch, the 8Bitdo is registered as a USB controller, therefore it won't be able to tell you the battery life on the controller that it's synced to, which ultimately means that the controller will disconnect once the battery is completely drained without any notice, which can be a bummer when in game. Another thing which gamers might find irritating is the inability to turn on the Nintendo Switch when in standby mode. This can only be done using Joy-Cons or a Switch Pro controller. The next downside, which I mentioned earlier, is the lack of motion controls when connected to the PlayStation 5 controller. However, I personally don't see this as a major deterrent when using this controller, and who knows, there could be a future upload around the corner sorting this out. To finish off, guys, in my opinion, the 8Bitdo is an excellent mini accessory which pairs with numerous compatible controllers that are functional on the Nintendo Switch and PC. Even though it's unfortunate that motion controls are a hit or miss on most compatible controllers and only being able to pair one controller at a time, I still believe the 8Bitdo USB adapter to be well worth the money and should be an accessory owned by every Nintendo Switch owner. So guys, are you going to be picking up the 8Bitdo? If so, let me know which controller you'll be using down in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, peace out.
It's not a game, it's a rich game.